See if I get this right real quick. Without making my phone pop. Boom. Alright, good. We look good, boys and girls. Alright. Log on to Facebook real quick and check this out. So gotta make sure everything looks good and is running good, like always. So give me like 60 seconds and we'll get into it. But while those 60 seconds are going by, please comment down in the comment section. What do you guys want to hear about? What do you guys want to hear me discuss? And all that good stuff. So we can jump into it for tonight's topic. And it says I'm lagging. Alright, I'm good. Oof, we have shop championships. Oh, this weekend is a huge weekend. Wow, I have a webcam event tomorrow. I just remember that. I don't know if I want to plan it yet. What do you guys think I should play? I think the only two decks that I have right now are the Jax and Red Broly. I should play something just wild. I think it's best of one. Fortunately, Gohan is banned, so that'd have been nice. Play a quick game, get in and get out. We can do this, I guess. Yeah, we can get into it like this. Alright, I see we have people joining in. Alright, we have a question. My bad. 1 second. I'm just setting up. Give me like 15 seconds. My group chat is messaging me asking if I'm going to a shot championship tomorrow. I might. I need more reps. Alright. I am sure. Let's get into it. Don't know this is discussed yet, but what do you think of Sun Goten changing history in Dark Broly? Yeah, I absolutely love that card. I bought that card up and then people started mentioning it. But yeah, I absolutely love that card, guys. The Sun Goten, in my opinion, was going to be in my next build if I didn't sell my Dark Broly deck. But I bought that card up and I'm like, hey guys, this is what I was gonna do, because the whole thing with Dark Broly, right? The reason I feel like Dark Broly will always be the most represented deck currently in this game is because that deck never shows all of its juice, right? It always it can answer the meta, but every event it literally changes and it evolves. So the first variant, as you guys saw, I had Demigra, I had a bunch of stuff that got counteracted by Violent Rays. But the second one, I changed it up to where I showed you guys, I introduced to you guys the counter to the mirror match, because how it was at first was Dark Broly was just going rampant. You knew how to destroy the entire meta but the mirror match. So in version 2 that I showed you guys at Pro Play Tour Miami, I used the SS4 Bardock. The reason for the SS4 Bardock was literally, hey, when your turn 2 comes or your turn 3 comes and you top 2 from Edgar Barra, leaving you at either 0 or 1 energy, because don't forget, the Dark Broly doesn't awaken, you die due to the fact that I'm just going to destroy you with my SS4 Bardock. Because SS4 Bardock's a dual attack, you overwhelm 6 with no energy requirements whatsoever. So realistically, when you have 2 double strikes, that was going to be my version 3, is going to be 3 Kraken space times along with 3 hidden power Supreme Kai just to even the odds. I could technically make my SS4 Bardock hit you twice for double strike, which is quad strike, and my leader hits you another time for a double strike attack with Kraken space time, which would have been completely insane. But maybe I'll release that version if I'm 100% positive I'm not playing it for Miami, because that version is very, very powerful. But the thing I was going to have main board, it was 100%, and this is where it came from. Guys, people try to take credit for it, but trust me, I'm the one who bought that card up. So I'm like, wait a minute. I went through the entire deck pool and card pool. I'm like, Sun Goten changing history is just insane. because the way it was, if there was another event right after Miami, people would 100% would have played Violent Rays. And the way you counter that would be with math. That's why I told you I love Dark Broly, because Dark Broly is literally a math game, right? So obviously you never attack with your leader first if you're going against red. You attack with your 30k. If they have a threat on board, you would bring out the Berserker. If they don't have a threat on board, you bring out the Ravager. So the Ravager would take one from warp, would take one from drop in their hand. But if they have nothing in drop, just attack with a battle card. You're gonna have 30k out board. Just attack with them first. They'll use Violent Rays and they'll pitch a card. If it's a battle card, then I would bring out Ravager to take out another one from their hand and another one from their drop. Then you can either swing with leader, depending on what it is. You improvise it after overcome. If they're at 5, obviously you put them from 5 to 3. Then you drop your Sun Goten changing history and you swing. Because it's the same thing as the SS4 Bardock. The only difference being it's less because it's over on 3. And you have to activate main when you pitch the card and you get to restand it and attack again. It's a baby turtle essentially. So it was really, really solid. I put that out there and people try to just run and say, yeah, it's the greatest. I'm like, bro, trust me. And the funny thing about it, I have a version 3 of it, then I also have a version 4 of it. I'm saying Dark Broly will never say the same. That's why it's kind of hard to just straight counter it. And that's why I talked about in my last video, there's no deck that really sits across from Broly and straight counters it. There's decks that'll stall it, but there's one deck that could sit across from Dark Broly, and it's like, okay, cool, we have problems, and that's the mirror match. Because the same way it sucks for your opponent taking a 30k damage, trying to out-combo it, you see either you have the negate or giving your opponent to out-combo, is the same difficulty for yourself when they swing at 30k at you, and it's like, well, damn, it's either you negate or you start losing cards in your hand. So Sun Goten changing history 100% would have been a main board for me in my version 3. And the only reason why it's been a main board because I would expect a lot of launch and a lot of King Piccolo, because that was where the hype was at the time point. King Piccolo, I don't know where it went. I still believe, I keep saying in every video, it's still red for Jax, but launch stayed there, so I'd have been correct. So people are to try to counter it with launch, and they would have got this body with Sun Goten. So, just really like Goten to get a card in the next and drop and act. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how I compared that Sun Goten changing history. It was literally gonna change the history of matches the next game, the next tournament I played it in, because it was okay, cool, Violent Rays, we'll still clap, and then you keep going, so on and so forth. And the beautiful thing about it, like I said, guys, I like to use energy efficient cards. The Sun Goten changing history costs 0 energy to play, just a hefty cost of 3 overall. The 3 overall, which you can easily feel from your leader by looking at the top 5 and taking 3 30Ks and putting in your drop here. So it'd have been really, really, really cool. I have more card text for the deck. Like I said, I'll probably put them all out to help the Dark Broly player. Like I said, I love the deck, Dark Broly. In my opinion, it's probably the best deck this game is. It's 100% top 5. I don't think it's the best deck this game has seen. I personally still believe it's Piccolo, Surge Piccolo, because that deck was just insane. But I put it as a top 5 decks because Dark Broly is just completely insane. Also a good, especially that the Vegeta Unison. It's a good answer for it. The only thing about the Vegeta Unison, like if you were to use the Overrealm, I wouldn't really worry about it so much in that, as in there's other ways to out the Vegeta Unison, right? Because what happens is, and against Mega Frieza, if you use the Sun Goten changing history, they're gonna respond to it. And it's either gonna get Giant Ball, it's gonna get a response to it, period, coming up. I didn't really rely on that strategy to get rid of the Vegeta Unison Fury. What I would rely on to get rid of it is your leader swing with Crack, and then a battle card swing with a double strike if they're wise enough to have it at least 3 markers. But if it's only at 2 markers, you're gonna have to clear because it's that simple. You'll also be able to play hardcast things like, if you're playing any of the 1-drop Silver Bullets, if you're playing, what's his face, Gravy, you can hardcast the Gravy. It's a lot of ways out there. It's not that hard to take them out. What gets hard is when you have extra 30Ks in your deck, or like extra guys in your deck that you just cannot play. Like when you don't play 4 Mecha Bears, you play 3. Now it's like a chase to find one of your Mecha Bears. If you don't play Gravies, now it's like, wow, what do you do to out this Vegeta Unison, which could be an hassle at that time and point. we talked about Mecha last video as well. I still believe Mecha is solid sitting at number 2. And like, excuse me, it can't be number 2 because number 1, don't forget, it's a recap from last video. Number 1, this is the gatekeeper, right, guys? This is the meta right here. This is literally the meta. On top of the meta is the gatekeeper. Shout out to my boy Legends for this example. On top of the meta is the gatekeeper, which is Red Broly. If Red Broly's not in the meta, it's literally Invoker. There's no interaction for it. And on the sides, you have Dark Broly and you have Mecha Frieza and everything in the middle. Because if 1 and 2, if Red Broly and Invoker aren't in it, then all this becomes like a mush of just decks that could come from nowhere and spank you. The only addition I would put to this is right next to Dark Broly, I'd put Vegeks. I've been putting a lot of time into Vegeks. I'm telling you right now, I think Vegeks is the best of 3 deck in this game, or this current format is the best of 3 deck. Like, to beat that deck in best of 3 is just gonna give you a point problem. Best of 1 I could 100% see, because best of 1, if you'll get certain colors, Vegeks doesn't really have a bad matchup, but the optimal kill is not in the main deck itself, specifically against blue and stuff like that. But after games 2 and 3, it's gonna be damn near impossible for him to kill you. So I would just say still Vegeks is the best of 3 deck. I would highly encourage players to play it. Check out the deck profiles on the channels. Message us. We'll answer any Vegeks deck. I love Vegeks. I always help you guys out to make sure Vegeks ensures the W. Best of 1, it's rough, like I said. Like, if you just have best of 1 events, I wouldn't really recommend taking Vegeks because you still have the deviance of just, hey, I'm going to face X deck, and even though I have the answer is not in my main board. And the reason why you're not able to have it in the main board because it's not as efficient as the main board core. So I wouldn't really recommend playing it in best of 1. But best of 3, you should be the easiest, just click, click, clap, game over, sign a match slip, no lie. That's how it should be. Why the switch to Red Broly? Honestly, because no one was playing it, and I'm like, just let me play test this deck. Is it that bad, or is it just no one wants to play it? So I was just playing around with it. I have that deck, and I have Vegeks, and yeah, that's it. Those are the only 2 decks I have right now, currently at the moment. So for best of 1s at like my locals and stuff, I play Red Broly, and best of 3s, I play Vegeks. Because trust me, when I finally did that, like I said in the last video, the testing against Mecha Frieza, I gave Mecha Frieza way too much credit. Listen to me put it like that. As long as you follow my video, the step-by-step of how to combat Vegeks when I put that Vegeks deck profile out, as long as you follow that step-by-step concept, you'll be good. Trust me, man. Because the thing I overestimated was that Mecha would always have X answer to your cards, and they don't always have it. And that's what I super overestimated in so for Mecha Frieza versus Vegeks. Because Mecha literally has to open up X, Y, and Z to stop your onslaught of attacks, which is kind of not possible to consistently do, especially in a multi-round tournament like that. Do we have any other questions? No, we don't. So, I don't know. In my testing on Red Broly, it's been really solid. I've only lost to Vegeks. I lost yesterday actually in locals to Vegeks, which is kind of it was kind of like this is how it feels when I play Vegeks and then like the real season and one we're using Red Broly. It's really not fair, man. Vegeks just clip, clap, and it's just bad because you already take yourself down to 4, and Vegeks is like, psh, you hit yourself to 4. I only got to deal 4 damage. It's like, all right, see ya, and it's just click, clap, and it's gained for that. So it's really good. But what I found is for Red Broly, my testing is you have to, I don't know, just for me, I'm looking for a way to build a wall to survive that kind of onslaught of attacking for it, because it's very fragile on the craft. I'm not lying to you guys. If you're not able to, because Violent Rage doesn't cut it. The reason why Violent Rage doesn't cut it, because if you're smart, like I said, if you're playing red, you attack with whatever your highest thing is first. You still have your leader swing, you'll still have your unity swing. So Violent Rage really doesn't cut it for a wall of defense. I have a feeling I know what I need to do to make Broly that impenetrable defense. Because the thing about Broly, right, if you have an impenetrable defense with Broly, it's going to be hard for you to lose the game because your offense is just insane. Because your offense will literally take at least 2 cards from the hand. When I say 2 cards, it's Violent Rage and along with what they pitch, and you'll still be able to swing with your leader, which is critical. So it's gonna be damn near impossible to lose at Red Broly if I'm able to solve this final way to just build a wall for defense. That's the biggest thing for Red Broly. There's some text that people have used, I didn't really like it. Like, even though they're really, really good cards single-handedly by themselves, when you look at it in the overall scheme, in order to keep the core deck the same, but incorporate and bring in some new cards to establish a wall of defense, you had to take out a lot of core cards. Like, not core cards, but like a lot of the tech choices, as you would say. Because with Red Broly, the issue I found as well, you really have 8 slots or so to play with. Everything else is staple. You have to run the 4 1-drops, the 4 3-drops, the 4 Paragus, the 4 Boss, the 4 5-drops. I run 4 6-drops. I don't care what anyone says. I run 4 6-drops. There's so many games. It's like, okay, 6-drop, go. Like, I understand some people don't skip their try, but you understand when you go first, it's impossible to not get the 6-drop off. It's okay. Worst case scenario, they have any counter to stall you. Your turn 3, just keep going. Like, you'll literally just keep going. The longer it gets stalled, the harder it becomes for them, because now your 6-drops, once you get 4 energy, your 6-drops is going to be there. Or once they hit 3 energy, your 6-drops is going to be there. It's going to be hard for them to defend. So the people who I've seen with 0 6-drops, I don't know how you do it, brother, but especially the fact that you understand the power of ripping 3 random cards. They don't pick it. You get to warp 3 random cards, and you don't even get to see like just 1, 2, 3. They don't get to pick. They shuffle, and it's pray to Jesus like you don't hit the right cards. So it's kind of insane. So my boy is still on this blue-green Dr. Yura. But in speaking of blue-green, let's talk about this blue-green Android 20 or Android 18. We finally got excuse me, it is Android 21. We finally got the ability to abuse the scheme tokens along with the field spell. That says pretty much the first thing your opponent plays or the first thing that's played that turn can attack, which is pretty insane. And not only is that insane, we also have the Android that says when it's in play, your opponent's tokens can attack. So really, really interested to see where that goes. But like I said, I don't want to talk about the future sets because what I find players do is when all these new sets and stuff come out, they focus on it and they put all their time and energy to try to perfect these new decks, right? But then they completely ignore the current set. So when they go to events, it's like a clash. I don't want to confuse you guys. So when those new sets are 100% legal, we'll do discussions about it. Trust me, we'll hook you guys up. But for right now, we can just look, enjoy, and marvel at it, and focus on this current format. Yeah, I told you guys the meta. If I were to pick a top cut breakdown for PBG, the Invitational, 100%, I would say, let me see, Red Broly, Dark Broly, only because I feel like Dark Broly Mecha Freeze, Red Broly, Dark Broly Mecha Freeze, 100%. Reason being, I don't know what'll have the most represented deck between Dark Broly and Mecha. So I feel like Mecha is also that deck that could just take over the majority of the room, but it's also a Dark Broly. Because like I said, Dark Broly doesn't really have a bad matchup at all. I know a lot of people say it's yellow with Mecha Frieza, but it's really not. If you know how to play around the deck itself, it's really not. Let me see. Red Broly will be there. The reason I say Red Broly be there because I know probably Justin Rios will probably play it. So if he's playing it, he's going to be there. If Legends is playing Invoker, obviously he's going to be there. So I'm not going to really name those 2 decks just for those players. But I'm just talking about the majority of the room. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of launch. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's going to be like a launch fest. So if you find a deck that counters launch, more power to you, because you'll probably easily make the top cut. I feel like there will be a green Gotenks there. I don't know why people drop the deck, especially with the options of Red Broly, because green Gotenks is very, very powerful, especially with Red Broly not being on top, keeping the gate like shut essentially. So I feel like a green Gotenks will be there. King Piccolo, I feel like there will be some, but not in top cut. I don't think people I don't want to build a deck because that deck's annoying to play against. But I don't feel like people actually found out how to. It's like the whole mecha, right? You remember when we first talked about that, when we first discussed mecha, we said mecha's broken, mecha's this, mecha's that. But then we didn't want to give you a play-by-play of an exact deck list, and you saw the issue happen in Miami. Players really did not put 1 and 2 together and realized that you had to run the Vegeta's Unison Fury in mecha in order to be successful in the format. Because if you didn't, you were going to get pushed in essentially, sign a match because you lost. So it's one of those situations where we don't really want to just give a copy and paste cookie cutter King Piccolo deck and not players running, and it's like, bro, this deck's just annoying. Because trust me, King Piccolo is annoying. When I say it's annoying, I'm talking about like, I'll preach this deck every single video. You will lose the game, but even if you were like, you know what, you lucky I didn't have the counter, you lucky I didn't have this, you lose the game with your opponent still having at least 3 to 4 attackers that they didn't even get to swing with because you died so fast. And that's how annoying that deck is. So it's really, really powerful, guys. Please don't sleep on it. I will highly recommend that you playtest that deck. Not playtest it to play it, but playtest it to understand what your opponent can and cannot do. Because when that deck goes off, that deck goes off. And you need to understand the powers of it. So if you do end up playing against it, you know exactly what to expect and how to beat it and when to beat it. Because if you give it time, that thing will just completely overwhelm you. But this format is solved, so looking into it, futures left. This format is not solved. I don't agree with this format being solved at all. The reason being is because, like I said, Mecha Frieza it's very, very close to the main deck. Yeah, the main deck for Mecha Frieza is very close to being solved. I don't think the side deck is there yet. And Mecha is a deck that has a lot of potential, and players just aren't tapping into it yet. They're playing good deck cards into Mecha, but Mecha doesn't really just want to thrive on those good deck cards. It's not the same Mecha Frieza that originally came out. This is the new erratic Mecha Frieza. Even though, yes, it's super powerful, there are certain cards, like we said in the last video, War Cries should not be, at least in a main board of Mecha Frieza. They shouldn't be. They're great cards. They look pretty. They do damage. Yes, they have a long history of just dominating yellow decks, but War Cries, I'm going to say it, and you could go ahead and meme me on this, should not be in your main deck. They shouldn't. If you put War Cries in your main deck for Mecha Frieza, you're probably not going to be in top cut. Because what's going to happen is, you're going to look at your hand when it's really time to start comboing out pieces, and you're like, well, you have to take a life for Vegeta's Final Flash. You have to tap something for Nimbus. And you're going to be stuck with these War Cries that are tap 2 energies. And this is going to be just, why didn't I just listen? So War Cries shouldn't be in it. It's a lot of stuff that Mecha has right now, and they really shouldn't be main deck. Side deck, I can give you guys leeway because you guys know your weaknesses and strengths, but main deck, 100% not in there. If they watch my Mecha builds, they would know about the Vegeta Unison. Yeah, to this day, I'm still in shock. People just didn't put that together, and that's why I spoke to a lot of Dark Broly players. And like, oh yeah, I ran through Mecha. I'm like, you run through Mecha, and I'm rewinding. I'm like, oh, you run through the Mecha players that didn't realize that Unison was a thing. Because if the Mecha players understood that and put it together, you wouldn't just run through them. And it's not after they played against it and they lost it. Oh, you know what Eddie was saying was right, because literally that deck it's like I said, it doesn't counter it, but it stalls you. If you don't know how to play against it, and that's the first time you're finding out about it, you're gonna lose that game because you're probably not gonna know how to answer it. But if you do your research and you test and you have people to test with, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, this is what you see is coming, you have time to develop those answers. And because what happens is people take those locks and stuff they think they're the only ones to know about and bring it to an event. But if you go against a player who knows about these locks, they have the answer. So when you hit them with the answer, they're like, whoa, no one's ever done this to me before. And that's why I say, guys, when you test, don't ever, if you're just testing, not for like local reason, I'm talking about actual testing, not tournament, like outside of tournament. For instance, let's say if you're testing against a Red Broly player and he uses Planet Vampa and he whiffs, he only hits like a ball or something, correct it for him, guys. Let him get the TP from his deck and then play the ball. That's how you correctly playtest. Because if you playtest like that, what's going to happen is you're going to get used to the fact like, okay, cool, my opponent technically can whiff. And if they whiff, that's going to give me an advantage to do it. That's not what you want to do. You want to have them have a perfect curve, and you want to be able to counter it consistently. Because what happens is now when you go to an event and they don't hit that perfect curve, they do whiff, you know 100% like, oh, this is game over. Versus, well, he hit all 3 games. It's like, bro, he hit the T. Like, no, why weren't you playtesting the fact that the Vampo always hit the one drop Broly? And this is something you just need to. It's repetition, like I said, and you just gotta get used to it and know how to improvise, adapt, and overcome over it. Says weird in this area of card games. No one listens to people who shares info. They wait for a deck to top. And yeah, bro, I'm telling you, like, I'm not here to spread false information. Trust me, I don't get paid for this. I just come here, so I tell you guys to bring your questions. I come here to help you guys out and give you helpful advice. I have damn near a majority of the best players in the game on the team, and these guys are literally playing in and out. And I could see things, I could tell you things. That's why when I tell you this stuff, I'm like, listen, it's not as gravy as you seem. Like, there's multiple times I thought something was hot fire. I'm like, ooh, I got the spice, and I sat down against one of my boys and I played it. I'm like, you know what? It just wasn't what I thought it was. Because what happens is when you do that, right, you're able to see the mindset of 2 great players going against each other. It's like, well, if you figure that out, I'm not going to take it for granted that my opponent is not going to do the same thing. You instantly have to say, okay, cool. No matter what I do, the player I'm going to play in turn is going to be just like he's going to have that answer, right? So now you have to find another strategy in order to adapt to that situation. That's the same thing that happened to the Vegeta's Unison Fury, because those players who did end up losing, it's not that we didn't see it coming. It's like we did. But since we saw it coming, we had time to sit there and develop a strategy to go around it. That's why as soon as the event was over, I said, yeah, you guys should have been the Sun Goten changing history. There's a bunch of, I'm not going to name them all off, because if I do get the deck back, I will 100% jump back on that Broly. So I'm not going to name them all. I just gave you guys that as a free tool to do well right now, because a lot of people are like dropping the deck. I didn't drop the deck because it's bad. I dropped the deck because I have kids and a family and I needed some money because my son's birthday was coming up and we had to do big family things. But yeah, that deck is 100% insane, guys. Like, Violent Rage doesn't kill the deck. Violent Rage stalls the deck, and it's really annoying. The Fu Banisher doesn't kill the deck. The Fu Banisher kills your deck if you're not prepared for it. If you're playing a Dark Broly deck and you know games 2 and 3 you don't have an answer in your sideboard to combat Fu the Banisher, you're gonna lose. But that's on you. That's on the deck, because you know everyone in their right mind is gonna put that deck in. But what you gotta understand, right? Okay, cool. If I know turn 4, because they're not going to wait to turn 5, they're not going to wait to turn 6. They're going to do it 10 out of 10 times on turn 4 as long as they have it in their hand. If you know turn 4 it's coming, and you hold something like a Petrification on, and okay, cool, you swing. The odds of them winning, it's literally none. What's going to happen is you'll Petrification and you'll negate it. So he can't really summon anything else, because if you know it's coming, the previous turns 1, turns 2, and turns 3, you're sitting there making sure you're addressing the board. You're addressing the board. You're addressing the board. So by the time turn 4 comes, he'll literally have his leader swing, and you'll have the Fu swing. And that's 2 swings. So mathematically, if you have 4 life, it's not even possible for him to win. You see what I'm saying? If you have 3 life, it's not possible for them to win, because the Fu counters their overround, and you already addressed the board. If they have a Unison on, you have to understand and have the common sense knowledge to say, okay, cool. If they have a Unison, a leader, and you know the Fu's coming up because you couldn't really address the Unison, so Unison's still on board, you have to stay at 4 life, because the most they can do is tap out at 4, swing with their leader, and swing with the Unison, and that's it. Some Unisons do have double strike, guys. Like, just be careful on that. That's how you actually go about play testing and making sure your deck is ready to combat the meta. You don't say, I'm going to go into this, my main deck is perfect. No, your sideboard is part of your game plan, guys. If you neglect yours, I've seen many people win game 1 and swiftly get 0-2'd in reverse, and it's bad. The reason being is because, okay, cool, yeah, he got lucky, he drew this, he drew like, no, he prepared. He knew, he understood the matchup, he understood this is what it takes to beat the matchup. So now you have to counterpick it in your head. Like, okay, cool. This is what they're going to do to come in against me. So this is what I got to do to prepare to make the strategy different. So what my opponent is trying to counter me from doing, it's not going to be effective, because now I have a different strategy going into it. And that's the best thing. I should actually make a video on how to sideboard and how do because it's a different thought process that has to go through your mind when you sideboard. If you just sideboard, just say, oh, you know what, this is good against this deck, this is good against this deck. No, that's not how I do it, at least. how doing on sideboard is okay, cool. If I'm going against Mecha, Mecha's expected to have X, Y, and Z coming to beat me. So I have to say, okay, cool. In order to answer X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to put cards in that are good against Mecha. I'm going to put cards in that will stop that X, Y, and Z. So now the matchup is still in my favor. Same thing with Red Broly, same thing with Dark Broly, same thing with everything going on, period. Stuff like that. The only difference being is if the deck you're playing is highly popular and there's a lot of mirror matches, then sometimes your sideboard is able to enter your main board. Only because you understand the meta. You say, okay, cool, this is what I'm going to face a majority of. Like when it was Dark Broly running rampant, this is what I'm going to face a majority of. Stuff like that. So, okay. Yeah, I'm telling you, like, card games, it's sad. Like, people pay for content, but people could watch content like this for free. And it's not just me that does it for free. A lot of other people do it for free too, and get valuable knowledge, and they just refuse to do it. They'd rather just pay for something, and like, I don't know. I always say in my posts when I make it, I'm like, you can post any question there, and if you want a different answer other than mine, you can tag whatever players on my team. You can literally tag, say, hey Eddie, I want Andrew to answer this. I want Fix to answer this. I want Marquise to answer this. I want Jonathan to answer. You can tag whatever player you want, and if you're not able to make it, I'll at least go to the team chat and say, okay, cool. Can you answer this question and give me your thought process on it, and I'll talk about it for you in place of you on the video itself. So players don't take advantage of that. I'm telling you, there's not one post I don't encourage people to ask questions. There's no thing as a super question to me. There's questions that maybe not in the right time and place, but there's no thing as a stupid question. A question's a question. Like, literally, don't ever be scared to ask a question, especially if you're trying to get better at the game. Always be willing to learn, and don't think you know it all. I don't even claim to know it. I read like a lot. Not anymore because I have a job again because the whole baby stage is over. I'm always taking care of it. But the whole month of December, the reason why I was on a winning streak, I didn't have a job because I had to be here with my wife because she was 9 months pregnant, going to give birth. So all I was doing every day, like instead of working 50 plus hours a week, I was playing Dragon Ball for 50 plus hours. That was literally my job. I was sitting there playing Dragon Ball, updating the leaderboards, doing the Pro Play Tour Dragon Ball circuit, as well as just testing and testing and testing. And that's what my Dark Broly did when I was going. I was on a streak. I'm telling you, it was up until PPG Miami. Legends was the first and only person who's ever gave me a straight loss with that deck. It was literally been just win. But the reason why is because the amount of time I took to prepare that deck and make sure, like, no matter what happens, no matter what the matchup is, that I at least had the basic means to win game one. You see what I'm saying? It might not be as effective as after I side my side deck cards into my main deck, but I at least had the means to win in my main deck. There was not one matchup where I felt like, okay, cool, it was a loss. The closest it was the mirror match, and I learned that after the first webcam event, and that's why I put the SS4 Bardock Sync. So I'm like, you know what? If I somehow don't spam Mercury Barrels, which is not realistic, because I play them at 4, but if my opponent catches one more up on me, he's going to end up winning the game. So that's when the thought process clicked in. Ding, 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 ding. Guess what? The only red meta-relevant deck in the format at the time and point when I was playing Dark Broly was Red Broly. But Red Broly players were really scarce. And it's like, okay, there's no other red decks like that. Then launch and stuff came in. But when there was no other red decks, that meant there was no Violent Race. So the perfect answer to a mirror match itself, when your opponent taps out on turn 2 or turn 3, for Mecha Barra was the SS4 Bardock, and that's when things like that started clicking in my mind. And that's how you're supposed to think when you're building your deck in order to be really successful and efficient. Don't forget, the best thing I can tell you is efficiency is the most fundamental process of this game. Real talk, yeah, I appreciate it, yeah. There's a lot of insightful, it's not just us too, there's a lot of insightful content, I'm not gonna lie, on in the community. Card Game says, yeah, we promote experience, not shiny cards. Yeah, that's the thing about me, I'm not gonna lie. If you look for deck profiles to find shiny cards, I'm not the person for you. I'm gonna give you a basic common deck that you can take and just destroy people with. That's just how I do. There's guys on my team, like when I used to have Juan, I don't think Juan owns a common card. Juan probably has every card in this game, and it's either stamped or foil. I'm leading to the point where they're all stamped, because I know his Red Broly deck, entire deck is stamped. That guy, I don't think he owns one foil card ever. Like, he gets sets, and if it's foil, I'll give you this and cash for stamps. So there's some people that enjoy deck profiles just to watch rarities. If that's you, you're not gonna enjoy it. But if you like to understand like the thought process behind it, as well as where the efficiency comes from, you'll love my deck profiles. And if you like to watch my shades, me filling the shades on my cards, you'll love to watch my deck profiles as well. So, what other questions do you guys have for me tonight? Because it's Friday, and tomorrow I have a webcam event that I should at least play the first 2 rounds just to get participation. But realistically, I want to get. I don't think I'm gonna play an entire webcam event, only because there's a deck that I'm playtesting with right now, and I want to get reps on it because it's really, really solid, and I really want to find the way to break it, because I feel like it's really good, but it's missing something. I need to put time in it. And tomorrow I want to go, because there's shots all this month. Don't forget, guys, one thing I'll tell you is check that DBS.card game. I think it's DBS.card game, right? The actual official Dragon Ball site, and go to events. This entire month is Vicious Rejuvenation Championships. So check it out. Hopefully your store has it. This month, it's usually every Saturday, but it's every week this entire month. You'll get free promos just for entering. So check it out. Hopefully your a shop near you will have it, and you just get promos for free, man. Do you think Sing Shenron can do well going into Miami? I do. Shout out to my boy Dylan. He came up. I'm gonna tell you what, Dylan did that. I'm pretty sure he even have the TPs. And the TPs make that deck even go ham, because they have a consistent triple strike attacker and a bunch of shenanigans you could do. So if he was able to do that against against the greatest players in Dragon Ball, that was there, I'm pretty sure people could do it. And that's without the TP. So I'm pretty sure people who do have the TPs now could do the same thing and have success. But one thing about Dylan, I will tell you, he's like one of the masters of aggro in this game. If he has an aggro deck out, he's probably going to be playing it, and he probably has the most top-notch build to it. I don't think Sing Shenron should really be a priority if you want to play yellow, though. I'm just being honest with you. Like I said, when I say these things, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or anything like this stuff. I'm giving you my honest opinion because I want to see you successful. That's why people sometimes hate asking me for advice. They tell me to look at a deck, and if it's a leader that's really just gonna get slaughtered, I tell you guys no. I asked my boy Face. He kept showing me blue consistently. I'm like, no, because there's a timing point where certain colors are really dead when the meta actually becomes defined. So Sing Shenron, I'm not gonna say it's dead, but it's not something you really want to invest your time in currently, because there's other decks that really when I say super counter it, they super counter it. And when I say that, I'm referring to Dark Broly, because Dark Broly is probably going to be a tie in my opinion. There'll probably be Dark Broly will have the edge of the most represented decks, then Mecha Frieza, or it might be the opposite. But those two decks are going to be highly represented because those cards are fairly easy to get, and even the ones that aren't fairly easy to get, it's worth getting because those cards are going to be really hard to power creep, really, really hard to power creep. So it's worth the investment because it's not something you can just get now. And oh man, set 13, 14, 15 comes out, and now it's worth it. These will be good for a long time to come. What do you think slows launch or stops launch? It's really hard to answer that because obviously people would just say, oh, Black Mass Saiyan. But the thing about Black Mass Saiyan is launch has a built-in, I'm going to pop your Black Mass Saiyan each of my turns. With launch, I will tell you this, they cannot compete with tall attacks. That's why Dark Broly versus launch is really hard for them if they don't see Violent Rays, because the launch has the best ability. It's like Hercule, right? They can go wide. If you want to go wide, you're going to lose that matchup. If you're a deck that says, I'm going to swing 20, I'm going to swing 15, do this, do that, they're going to dance with you and they're going to beat you straight up. Because what's going to happen is they're going to keep comboing and keep getting the advantage, and you're not doing anything. They're replacing all their cards in your hand while you're losing cards from your hand. And when they swing, now you start losing cards from your hand. It's gonna become a game of attrition where you keep doing the same thing. They keep on comboing, and every time it's their turn, you actually start losing cards. It's gonna be to a time and point where you don't have enough cards to win the game. Because if it's red green, the Piccolo's gonna come and finish you off. If it's red green blue, you're gonna have super problems. It's really really good. But the biggest thing, I'll say it again, it's you have to go tall. So if you're having issues against launch, it's probably because your deck is just going wide. What I mean by wide is, for those who don't know, are decks that can have multiple attackers, but they're not really high. It's like Vegeta. Vegeta goes wide, right? Vegeta has the free Vegeta, which is a 19k. The Unison is 15k. That's going wide because instead of just attacking for one huge like Dark Broly, which is 30k, which is tall, that will hurt them because they can't just combo out and then use their flip like that efficiently. Yes, they can do it, but once again, the key term is efficiently while being able to out combo all your attacks. That's why for them, it's a must to see Violent Rage, or it's just they're going to lose the game. Drawing a lot of cards and reducing their combo abilities. I made a video about beating launch. Yeah, I wouldn't really depend on that. The reason being is because launch has a lot of board removal. I don't know. Like, I don't know how you would make their... I don't know, man. Because you drawing a lot of cards, it's not really going to compete with them. Because they're going to draw more cards than you. 100% going to draw more cards than you. And they're going to make you pitch more cards than you do when they attack you. Because if you're trying to go tall, they'll hit your Violent Rage. But if you're trying to go wide, your attacks will never connect. And when they do connect, it's probably because they're laughing at you because they want to take that life. Just so they're able to do their shenanigans. I would not suggest doing that against Dark Broly. I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, not Dark Broly. Against Launch. My suggestion against Launch would be to go tall. So if you have a deck like Black, use a Majin Buu's Extinction Hat. Hit him with a 30Ks. If you have Yellow, make sure you hit him with at least 25Ks, because if you're just hitting with 20s and 15s, it's going to be a really rough game for you. The Launch will out combo it, and not only will they out combo it, something will come out behind it, like a Beerus Champa, a Gogeta. If it's blue, red, green, it's going to be a cooler. All those things will come out after they combo. It's just like, not only do they out combo your attack, but now they put a battle card that's going to pressure your life. And that's what I mean by, when you attack them, they'll just replace their hands, but when they attack you, you will lose your hand. That's exactly what I mean by that. Frieza and Cell Units and giving one drop. If you're referring to Launch, like I said, Launch, don't try the wide strategy at all. Don't try to say I'm going to draw cards, because all those cards you're drawing is just going to go to the drop when they swing back at you. Just go tall for that strategy. I think I answered all of the comments. What I will say is green is really in a solid place because of the Demigra Unison. And the Frieza Charismatic. Because a lot of decks, such as Launch, doesn't matter if you go first or second. As long as you establish the Demigra Unison, they can never drop that Piccolo on you. Because what's going to happen is they're going to tap 2, and Charismatic comes right behind as long as you drop your Demigra, regardless if you went first or second. As long as your turn was a Demigra, and you have a Frieza Charismatic, they can't do the Piccolo, because they'll drop it, and they'll just get popped, and they'll continue a cycle that just happened. So that's why green's a really good spot. Same thing against a lot of decks, like Red Broly. Okay, you drop your one drop, you pop it with Frieza. Against Mecha, it's not so much really, because Mecha, yes, they'll play something for free and you pop it, but it's not as efficient against other decks. So that's why I will put green there, because green has some really solid stuff. Especially, that's why I keep mentioning the green gold tanks, because the green gold tanks, imagine you not being able to establish a board while also having to constantly worry about the pressure of a Grim Reaper coming at you for 25 dual attack to your face. That's also gonna draw a card. Like, if you take it out, somehow you KO or remove it from board, it's just gonna replace itself, and next turn the same thing's gonna happen. And that's not even including the fact that it'll take care of one of your board, because I'm pretty sure it KOs something on your opponent's side as well when it's played. It's really, really good. Yeah, I think I caught up with everything. So I'll give my closing thoughts for this video. And if you guys have any more questions, comments, concerns, and I catch it before I end my closing thoughts, I'll answer them. So, right now, if you're playing in your store championships, or if you're just not free over the weekends, I highly recommend you look at the Dragon Ball site and enter those because you will get free TPs. If you're free this weekend, sign up for the PPG Invitational Webcam event because I'm telling you right now, no matter how many, if 16 people show up, 16 invites are still going to go out. If one person shows up, 16 invites will still go out. At least all of my team members that are joined right now already have their invites. So all their invites are going to pass out if they make top cut. I highly recommend, if you do not have your invite, to join it. If you're looking for a deck to test for PPG Miami, it's very, very budget friendly. I highly recommend Vegeks. I'll say it again. I believe Vegeks is the best of 3 deck in this game for this format currently. If you have cash, I would go ahead and invest in Dark Broly because Dark Broly it's going to be hard to power creep something that says attack leader, no niggas. Okay, cool, no combo, just 30k. It's going to be really hard to power creep something like that. If you have the cash, I'd go ahead and invest in your Dark Broly. Yeah, that's about it. I don't see any more questions, so that'll end it for tonight. I'll be sure to post this so you guys can rewatch it. And hope you guys have a safe one weekend. And see you guys later, man.